Hours later, Mavarek went on TV to say he was not stepping down. Mavarek even made a point of rebuking foreign pressure, an obvious reference to the Obama administration's efforts to speed his departure. So CIA Director Panetta was actually 2 steps behind. Amazingly, it turns out that Panetta didn't know any more than anyone else. Rather than admit his agency was clueless, Panetta simply reported what the media rumors were saying as if they were intelligence assessments. Mr. Panetta didn't know who would take over or what transition plans were in place. Nobody did. Not even Mavarek, who didn't step down for almost another 2 days. In view of the potentially enormous consequences for the entire Middle East, this kind of intelligence failure is unforgivable. Appearing before the same committee, just before Director Panetta was the nation's top intelligence guy, the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, the DNI is the official to whom all other intelligence heads report. Director Clapper was asked about the Muslim Brotherhood.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements.
Right.
In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Right.
They have pursued social ends, betterment of the political order in Egypt.
He told the Congressional Intelligence Committee, in other countries, there are also chapters or franchises of the Muslim Brotherhood, but there's no overreaching agenda, particularly in pursuit of violence, at least internationally. Clapper's description reads like a Muslim Brotherhood press release, not in a U.S. intelligence executive summary presented to the United States Congress. An authentic intelligence report would note the Muslim Brotherhood is not secular. You have to be a Muslim to join. Heterogeneous means inclusive. The Brotherhood welcomes everyone except women, Jews, and non-Muslims. Among the chapters or franchises of Muslim Brotherhood are Hamas and al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's number 2, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood when it assassinated Anwar Sadat, Mubarak's predecessor. Sadat was murdered for making peace with Israel. Even the U.S. State Department's background note on Egypt described the Muslim Brotherhood as a potent political and religious force that has spawned top terrorist and terror movements. It further states, the Muslim Brotherhood, founded in Egypt in 1928, remains an illegal organization and is not recognized as a political party. The Brotherhood's overarching agenda is fairly easy to learn. Just ask them. Apparently, Director Clapper didn't think it necessary, but if he had bothered, this is what he would have learned. The Brotherhood's official website notes that jihad is Islam's most important tool in effecting a gradual takeover, beginning with the Muslim countries. Its goal is to then reestablish the caliphate over 3 continents in preparation for a conquest of the West before finally instituting a global Islamic state. Even the Brotherhood, in its wildest dreams, could not have envisioned the rapid fall of the Egyptian government. In the resulting political vacuum, they are now in prime position to suddenly take over and take charge of the new government. And just as happened in 1979 Iran, no one else realized how his or her freedom has been stolen until it's too late. The Director of National Intelligence didn't recognize any of these history-changing dangers as recently as last week. The CIA Director was seeking intelligence guidance from CNN. Can it get any worse? Since taking office, the Obama administration has racked up a truly frightening record of foreign policy failures. I discovered an article in the Eurasia Review dated February 13th. It provided the following snapshot. To recap Obama's foreign policy triumphs, he snubbed England, tried and failed to intimidate the little country of Honduras, picked a fight with Israel over a few houses in Jerusalem, tried to budge China on its currency and got nowhere, got played by Russia on the START Treaty, and now helped overthrow a pro-American government in order to replace it with an anti-American government. That's what they were reading in Eurasia last week about U.S. foreign policy. My only quarrel with it is that the article's author, Daniel Greenfield, left out Obama's betrayal of Britain's nuclear secrets to Russia. In case you missed that one, negotiators for the United States reported that Russia was demanding secret information about British nuclear Trident missiles as a condition for signing the new START Arms Control Treaty. But sharing that information would compromise the British, so Washington reportedly asked London for permission to hand over details about the Trident's performance to the Russians. The British refused to grant Obama permission to trade their secret for Russian cooperation. Desperate for some sort of foreign relations or political success in the wake of the disastrous general elections, President Obama did it anyway. The documents were exchanged recently, formally activating the treaty. The UK Telegraph summarized the British point of view in this ponderous headline from February 4th. The Obama administration betrays Britain to appease the Russians over New START. As relations between Obama and Israel continue to sour, the European Union is beginning to see an opportunity. A delegation of more than 400 European lawmakers visited the Knesset on Monday. They are part of a group called European Friends of Israel. Their mission is to advance recognition of the cultural and democratic ties that bind the Jewish state and the continent. The Bible says that in the last days, the Western world will be governed from Europe, not from Washington. The prophet Daniel says that the leader of the Western world in those days will be a prince out of the people that destroyed the city, Jerusalem, and the sanctuary in AD 70. Titus and the vaunted Roman 10th Legion destroyed Jerusalem then. Titus went on to become Caesar of the empire. So clearly, Daniel's prophecy pinpoints the rise of a pure son of the Roman Empire to be the coming Antichrist. The political Roman Empire collapsed under its own weight in the 5th century. Efforts to revive the Roman Empire by means of war under such people as Charlemagne, Napoleon, Bismarck, and Hitler all failed. But in 1948, the Benelux Treaty set the stage for the revival of the old Roman Empire by peaceful means. That was the same year, incidentally, that Israel was restored to the same land from which she had been banished by the Romans 2 millennia before. Amazingly, the European Union is itself described by the supporters as revived Rome. In any case, the Bible says that in the last days, there will be a European superstate organized along the lines of the Roman Empire that will assume supremacy over the West. Today, there exists a European superstate organized along the lines of the Roman Empire, seeking to replace the United States as the principal broker for the peace between Israel and her surrounding enemies. The Bible forecasts that despite existing peace treaties, Egypt and Jordan will eventually join with the rest of the Arab world in a final Arab attempt to wipe out the people of Israel. Now that Mubarak's government has unexpectedly fallen, the Muslim Brotherhood is rapidly organizing itself to seize the new opportunities provided by Egypt's collapse. The Brotherhood recognizes that Egypt is the key to taking over all of the Arab Middle East. What was the greatest hindrance to their plans to establish a caliphate over the entire Middle East now is ripe for the picking. And the West, led by the United States, is oblivious to the world-changing storm that is gathering against them. As I expected, the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan is also beginning to waver. At least 70% of the Jordan's population consider themselves Palestinians and not Hashemite Jordanian. If King Abdullah falls, the first change that will be announced will be the scrapping of the peace treaty with Israel. On this side of the Atlantic, it seems as if the White House is deliberately losing on all fronts. I'm not saying that it is deliberate. It could just as easily be due to incompetence or naivete. But the reasons are secondary to the reality. The Arab world is beginning to coalesce as a single ethnic force against Israel. In the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verses 40 through 45, Daniel prophetically calls the great block of power that will rise at the end times the King of the South. The U.S. administration's foreign policy seems aimed at distancing America from Israel and seeking closer ties with her enemies. The European Union is attempting to insinuate itself into the vacuum. Every one of these recent developments is in precise alignment with Bible prophecy. They're filling in the structures of power for the final 7 years before Christ's second coming to the earth. I'll be back in a moment. This space is empty right now, but in a couple of weeks, our new Hal Lindsey report set will occupy the spot. God has led us to move from Southern California, where I've produced this program and its predecessors for the last 15 years, and now to the hill country of Texas. So as the Hal Lindsey report celebrates its 5th anniversary, we're beginning a whole new chapter. But we can't do it without you. Because of the added expenses of the transition, we need your help now more than ever. So send your tax-deductible gifts to Hal Lindsey Media Ministries at P.O. Box 470470, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74147. You can also support this program online at hallindsey.com or by phoning toll-free 1-888-RAPTURE. Thanks for your help, and we'll see y'all real soon right here in Texas. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. You know, I think a lot of Christians are kind of practicing like my daughter's little note they left on the refrigerator for me as a joke. They said, Jesus is coming back soon. Look busy. And that's about the depth of the commitment. It's time to know where you stand with God. God willing, I'll see you next week.
You've been watching the Hal Lindsey Report. To support this program, send your tax-deductible gift to Hal Lindsey Media Ministries, P.O. Box 470470, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74147. You can also support this ministry online. Visit hallindsey.com or call 1-888-RAPTURE.